There can be crazy big differences between projectors, and perhaps the best proof of this is the ETOE Dolphin. The ETOE Dolphin has become a rather interesting projector for several reasons. I will tell you about these now. I'll explain the specifications and, of course, what it's like to use it. Let's start with the more essential things, such as the fact that according to the manufacturer, this tiny little projector has a brightness of 500 ANSI lumens, which is actually the manufacturer's first DLP projector. It's a relatively new company, but all the devices I've had from them so far have been impeccable, every single one. True, those were all LCD projectors, whereas this one, as I mentioned, is DLP. One of the major advantages of DLP projectors is their size, meaning you can pack relatively high performance into a relatively small size. I won't explain to you now how DLP projectors work, but you can find a link to the written article under the video on YouTube where I've dedicated a few paragraphs to this topic. Read it. So the point is, this is a DLP projector, relatively small, only 11 centimeters tall. The manufacturer claims it's the size of a soda can, which isn't entirely true, as a soda can is somewhat smaller, but a bit taller. So let's agree that we get roughly the size of a soda can. The weight isn't too much either. The little device is only 600 grams. And within these 600 grams, they had to fit a complete sound system, cooling system, and projection system. Moreover, it also includes a battery, because this projector is fully capable of wireless operation, not just because it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, as is common in these projectors, but also due to the battery, which is a 10,000 mAh battery, allowing for 2.5 hours of wireless projection time. If we don't want to project but rather listen to music, it allows for 6 hours of use, because this projector is also suitable as a Bluetooth speaker. Due to its size, it is suitable as a Bluetooth speaker, but obviously also because the manufacturer has integrated this function. When used as a Bluetooth speaker, the projection system turns off, the Bluetooth and speakers remain active, and we have a really good sounding Bluetooth speaker. Understand the really good sound, as this projector has two 5-watt speakers placed in this tiny projector. And these two 5-watt speakers sound quite good, moreover. So what else do we need to know about it? Well, roughly speaking, you should know that the projection distance is also interesting, as it can be used from about 3.5 meters to 15 centimeters. Projecting from 15 centimeters gives you a small mouse cinema, while from 3.5 meters you get a 120-inch big cinema. I'll show you just how small an image it can project. Take a look. Okay, so this is really a mouse cinema, and it's quite strange that the image can focus from such a close distance. It might not be necessary, but after all, why not? Let's talk about the exterior. As you can see, as I mentioned, the projector is only 11 centimeters tall, so it's very small. It's about 10 centimeters wide, so that's not too big either. The controls are located on the top of the projector. Here we have a power button, a focus adjustment button, a 4-way button, and an OK button for navigating the menu. There's a very cute little leather strap on it. With this strap, we can carry it. We can even hang it on our belt if we don't have anything better to do. Here is the lens. There is no protective cap on the lens, but there is a plexiglass in front of it, so dirt can't really get in. The speaker openings are on both sides, and the cooling vents are here and up here and up here. And you really need to pay attention to where you place the projector, because the internal space is relatively small. And for this reason, the manufacturer has included a very good heat pipe cooling system. And so I have to admit, I couldn't resist taking this projector apart. And in the written article, you'll find pictures of what it looks like inside. It's really impressively good. So the main point is that you need to pay attention to the cooling, because the area where it can dissipate heat is relatively small. In terms of connectors, it has everything we need. We have a USB-C, an HDMI, an infrared receiver, and a USB-A, a LAN port, and a headphone output. What is worth mentioning, and must be mentioned in any case, is the USB-C connector through which it can be charged, so we can charge it at 5V. The manufacturer actually provides a 100W charger head with which we can charge it. But that's not the interesting part. Rather, it's that since we can charge the projector's battery via USB, it can also be charged with a power bank. So if you have a 20,000 milliamp power bank, you can add roughly 4 more hours to the 2.5 hours of projection time. So essentially, you can project throughout an entire night if you take a power bank along with this, and you can manage it without a power outlet. I already talked about the projected image, so I mentioned that you can reasonably project up to about 120 inches with it. I think you should aim for around 100 inches, because the brightness is 500 ANSI for this projector, which isn't an extremely high value. Obviously, we need to refer back to the size, and if we consider the size, which, as I said, is incredibly small and very cute, this 500 ANSI brightness is not something to be underestimated relative to its size. I actually made a test recording where you can see what 500 ANSI brightness means compared to my larger 900 ANSI projector. Check this out too.
You're a darn young man.
If I die in your bar, you can sell my organs to pay my tab.
I don't think they're worth what they used to be.
Did we just put a paranoid psychopath in the mix? Hello?
Hello, Mason.
Salazar?
Your reputation as an international fugitive is very well earned.
Now let me guess. You want us to do a job. What if I told you no?
Okay, well, it's visible that some details are lost here and there in the dark scenes, so there is a difference in brightness. That's why I say it's worth projecting a little closer. And if you buy such a projector, it might be worth getting a more decent screen, not like the one I'm using, because it's a bit shabby. So the point is, with a decent screen, you'll probably get an even better picture than this. But I have to say, I really have no complaints about the projector. I've been using it for about a month and a half now, and I've watched quite a few movies on it. And it's good. And the real advantage of this projector is not so much that it has a good picture, although obviously that's important too, but that you can take it with you and place it in locations where you otherwise couldn't start. So convenience is a big deal, and because of this, this projector has already become my little favorite because I've watched more movies on this projector than on all the other projectors that have been with me in the past 2 years. So you can feel that this thing definitely has its advantages. Now let's talk a little more about the sound. As I mentioned, it has 2 5W speakers. I recorded the sound to give you an idea of the sound quality. It was recorded with a microphone, so listen to it.
You're a darn young man.
If I die in your bar, you can sell my organs to pay my tab.
I don't think they're worth what they used to be.
Drop and travel. We got this.
Based on what I can hear, I can say that this projector has an exceptionally good sound because it doesn't distort, crackle, or pop. It doesn't seem like it's going to fall apart. It has dynamics. And there are even some bass tones here and there. So fundamentally, considering how small the speakers are that they put in it, it sounds particularly good, and as I mentioned, it can also be used as a Bluetooth speaker. The other sound that is important is the noise of the cooling system. As I mentioned, the space in which they could place this cooling system is quite small, so it contains a relatively high-speed fan, and if you're not careful and it overheats, it can spin at a very high speed, and that noise can indeed be disturbing. But when placed normally in a well-ventilated area, it is not noisy at all. I don't understand this either. Take a look. The noise level meter is relatively close to the projector, not from the usual 1 meter, but I measured from about 40-50 centimeters. And even so, the sound was not disturbing at all. So overall, what can be said about this machine? Well, on one hand, I can say that I love it. I literally love it because, as I mentioned, I've watched a lot of movies on it. And it's very, very comfortable to use, very pleasant, and I can use it in places and in ways that I couldn't use the other big projectors at home. So for this reason, I absolutely love it. Considering its size, the brightness is particularly good. There are absolutely no issues with the colors. We also have HDR support, and the sound is very good too. So if you really don't want to connect an external sound system, it's not necessary. Of course, it obviously has Bluetooth, and through Bluetooth I connected to it a game controller and also connected an external Bluetooth sound system. Both were recognized and both worked perfectly. There's one thing I haven't mentioned, yet I absolutely must talk about it before I close this broadcast, and that is the software in my projector. This is very important because the manufacturer has installed Android TV software on this device, and with the Android TV software, we get Widevine certification, which means that we can watch streaming services in full HD. Yes, because of course we're talking about a full HD projector. This is obviously very important because compared to SD, we get a much better quality picture with full HD resolution. However, the Android TV interface on it is slightly different from what I'm used to on TVs or other projectors. The difference isn't huge, but there is still a slight variation. One of the differences, which is very good, is that on the remote control we find a dedicated button. And with this dedicated button, we can bring up the menu that allows us to adjust the picture settings. This is very good because we can access this menu with one button, navigate quickly, and thus adjust the more important picture settings. This is beneficial because the projector has a front sensor, and thanks to the sensors, it can automatically adjust focus and keystone correction. Unfortunately, the keystone correction adjustment doesn't work very well if the screen is very far away, so I definitely recommend manually adjusting the keystone, turning off the automatic mode, and then each time you turn it on, it will revert to the previous state with which you turned it off. Interestingly, from up close, it seems completely fine, or let's say the automatic keystone adjustment seems roughly fine. I recorded this as well. As you can see, no matter how much I twist the projector, the image always aligns nicely straight. Almost always. So it's interesting that from this close, the automatic keystone works almost perfectly. But as I mentioned, from a distance, if you project onto the screen, say from 3.5 meters, well, from there it doesn't really want to work. However, I have no problem with the automatic focus. I checked to see if I could manually adjust it to be even sharper, but no. The automatic focus worked perfectly well during the test, so I would rate it a 4.5 out of 5. And then there's one thing I absolutely must mention, which is a downside regarding this projector, and it's truly the only downside. Interestingly, we have the Widevine L1 certification, and we also have streaming app support. Among the factory data, we find Disney Plus, for example, and this is not true because unfortunately Disney Plus does not work on it, and I cannot explain why. It's probably some kind of software anomaly because all the others are Netflix, Sky, Max, Amazon Prime. These are the ones I use, along with Disney. So all the others work perfectly. And interestingly, where Netflix usually works, all the others tend to work as well. Here, Disney Plus doesn't work. It doesn't work to the extent that you can't even download it from the store. It says that this device is not compatible with Disney Plus, but everything else does work. So I think this is most likely some kind of software anomaly, at least I hope so. And if that's the case, then there's a good chance that this software anomaly will be resolved with an update. This is the only downside I can report regarding this projector. Obviously, there are demands that it does not meet because the top LCD projectors can already deliver around 1,000 to 1,300 ANSI lumens, which is significantly more than this 500. Therefore, there will certainly be those who will not like this projector and will not enjoy using it. So they should buy a different type. In any case, I can tell you that if you need a DLP projector, a very small DLP projector, one that is portable, small, and even has a battery, and also has good sound, then definitely consider the ETOE Dolphin because this projector will meet your needs. What I haven't talked about yet is the price. At the moment, such a projector is sold for around 200,000 forints with a coupon. We could say that 200,000 forints with a coupon is a lot for a projector, since you can already get an LCD projector with similar brightness for half of that, or even a bit cheaper. So 200,000 forints is not a small amount of money, but for 200,000 forints, to get such a tiny, cute, well-functioning DLP projector with good brightness and good sound, not an LCD projector, you might not find another one. Consider this 200,000 forint price from this perspective, and think about whether you will be able to use this small, tiny DLP projector. If yes, then under the video on YouTube, below the written article, you will find the link that leads to the purchase. I will also place the coupon code there with which you can approximately reach this 200,000 forint price. Check it out, click on it, and if you want such a tiny, cute projector, then buy it. That's it for this video. If you liked it, please subscribe to my channel now, and come back later as I will soon be back with more tests. Until then, be good and goodbye.